Hey everyone, my name is Penny Zanker, and it's time to reset. This podcast goes beyond just navigating change. It's about new ways of thinking about how you can approach challenges, how you can shift your mindset when needed, create some space and grace for yourself so that you can rethink, recharge, and reprioritize when and where needed. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Thank you for hitting play and sharing this next episode with me. It's time to reset. Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zanker and I'm your host. And today we're going to talk about money because money is important, and we're going to find out what your relationship with your money is. And we're talking to Morgana today, and she is an international #1 best-selling author of Financial Alchemy, 12 Months of Magic and Manifestation, a 7-figure mentor coach. She's regarded as one of the world's #1 authority on relationship with money. That's why I said you're going to get that today. And her groundbreaking approach is a love-centered wealth building approach. And she's featured it on her Access to Wall Street Journal, Yahoo Finance, and other major television networks around the world. So without further ado, I want to introduce our financial guru to you today. Morgana, welcome to the show.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here. We're going to talk about money, and we're going to talk about love, and we're going to make it fun. And most importantly, we're going to make it safe. And the reason I say safe is because human beings have a really complicated relationship with money. We're consciously, oh my God, we know we want it. We want to spend it. We see all the great things we can do with it. But we also see and have experienced money as the limiter and the #1 excuse human beings give for what we can't have, do, or be. So money becomes like the monster of limitation. And we know it on a deep level, no matter how well we're doing. And so we want to have a better relationship with money, what I would describe as a less dramatic, but really happy, secure, expansive relationship with money.
Like a deep, fulfilling relationship, right?
Right.
So
right. Like
I want to say what I think is fun about this whole relationship idea, right, is I talk about that as well. As I say in my talks, some of our most important relationships are time, our money, our health. And we never spend any time really thinking about these relationships and how we're showing up in them and what they really mean to us.
Except when something goes wrong. Right?
When we usually don't blame the relationship, right? We blame ourselves or we blame someone else, right? But getting into that.
We blame time all the time.
we do.
And then we think about health when it's not there. And then our body becomes the enemy. And we think, but we resent money all the time. Every time we say or we're told, oh, we can't afford it, money became the bad guy that got in between us and our dreams. And then as we get older, especially women, we want so much to be liked and to be nice that when somebody is selling us something, we're like, oh, I'd love to, but I can't afford it. You know, it's like the easiest scapegoat in the world, which is so unfair.
Right. The big, ugly head of scarcity, right?
Right. Up. So it's telling the person we're talking to that money is a limiter. And unconsciously, we keep telling ourselves we can't afford it and that money is the barrier. And that's giving all the power, our power, away to this invisible entity, money. And it becomes a real relationship. So it's imaginary, but on a psychological, emotional level, it's totally real.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we get caught up in this relationship with money? How do we, 1, identify what is our relationship today? And 2, how do we change it if we don't like what we see or that's not the relationship we want to have?
I'm so glad you asked that because most people just jump straight to like, yay, yay, yay. How do I make money fall in love with me? How do I have a great relationship? You cannot get there without getting really honest about where you are. And there are so many incredibly well-intentioned law of attraction and positive thinking coaches out there. Yay. But if you just go into like la la land and do your affirmations and pretend what is true isn't true, you just create a bigger disconnect with yourself, and it doesn't solve the problem. It's sort of like if you get a snake bite and you put a Band-Aid on it, the poison's going to go inward. You need to suck it out. And you have to do that by getting super honest about everything that's wrong first. And it creates this tension and this leverage, like a slingshot. Get the farther we go into what is in the way, and we make it as big and dramatic as we can, it creates the momentum, it creates the motivation, the leverage, and the neurology for creating a change that is big and lasts. But you can't get there just by sitting around thinking about, oh, what are my negative beliefs? Because that's not engaged. That's just like a fun, interesting intellectual exercise that doesn't move the dial. We have to
be fully emotionally engaged and see the dramatic impact so that we can stop tolerating it and let it go. So I'm all about that, because I want to mention that I've been talking a lot about letting go. Like if we talk about setting priorities, we have to be able to let go of what's not a priority. And I believe that's one of the keys to resilience. So, letting go of what's holding us back and limiting beliefs and things like that are, I'm sure, essential in this process as well.
Well, and it tends to be harder for women because women, our brains are so integrated that we multitask and we have lots of priorities at once. And it tends to be harder for us to set single priorities than men. There are exceptions, of course, because we're all human, but just in general, women tend to have a little more trouble letting go and determining what is less of a priority. And what we never talk about is there's grief, even when you're letting go of something you don't want. It has been your companion for a long time, and it can be scary letting go before something new is there. So I've actually got a solution to that too.
Okay, great. So we've got a lot to talk about today. So let's start with
very, very quickly.
Let's start with how we identify where we are.
Okay, the biggest secret, and this is like make or break because it's not anything you would expect. It's sort of counterintuitive, is the root cause of your money block is never actually about money. I know people like to say, change your money story, change your life, but it's not money, because money is made up. It's like this shared imaginary agreement that this purse is worth $5 and this is worth 5,000 when they're just bags. It's something we make up, but it's what money represents. That's where things get really sticky and really real from a human motivation perspective. So money represents love. Like our parents were our first experience of money. They told us how much we were loved, how much we were worth, how safe we are. So it's money, worth, and safety. And in the United States, just our right to exist depends on if you can pay a hospital bill. So it gets really scary and dramatic. So what you want to do is you want to start. You can start with the negative experiences with money and all that kind of stuff. Great. And then veer off into the stuff that doesn't look like it has to do with money, like the heartbreaks, accidents, something maybe that you're ashamed of, the disappointments, the negative messages you got about yourself, anything that ever made you feel not good enough, not loved, not worthy, not safe. Eating disorders is a great place to look. But as I'm speaking to you now, whatever just pops up that may, from your grown-up eyes, not even look like it's a big deal, but there's some juice there. That's where you want to go. The root cause is that experience that created these beliefs about you not being enough, not lovable enough, not worthy enough, not capable enough, and not safe. Anything in the world that has made you feel unsafe is golden here. I call this process financial alchemy because alchemy is transmuting lead into gold. And we're taking those leaden human experience that you've already had. So you've already paid the price of admission. You don't have to do it again. But we want to milk it and make it work for us and create like that slingshot that I'm pantomiming here that will catapult you over to where you want to be. So you want to make it big enough that it's like, ugh.
What I'm hearing you say is I want to make a list or get into those top moments where you felt like you weren't good enough, you weren't loved. And so how do we do that? Just like recognize them. Some people might like, this might be really, do you want them to take it to a level 5 or a level 11? Because some people
I want you to take it to a critical mass. I don't want you to go so far that you are re-traumatizing yourself and dissociating. Dissociating is bad.
That's what I want
Dial
to
it
make
back.
clear. That's what I want to make clear so that people don't get themselves in a position that they can't get out of.
That's the trick. That's the trick. So, it can be different ways. It can just be in your head. It can be writing it out. I find that if there is a safe, non-judgmental person who can just be your witness, and in the time of like on again, off again, pandemic shutdowns and being safe, you can do it over the phone. I have to have just the presence of a witness that you can like verbalize and talk yourself into it with, who is not going to interrupt, is not going to minimize, is not going to try to coach you, please no, and just lets you get there. I find that that is like a safety line that helps you go deeper and know that you can come back. But it has to be somebody who's not going to interfere and not going to judge.
So I've had the experience, and I've used this method where I'd close my eyes and I'd imagine that I'm talking to someone that I feel safe with and sharing something that's sensitive and difficult.
And you still want to go into that horrible ick. Like, this is awful. What you really want to do is you want to dump everything into your root cause that you don't want in your life experience. So I make it really personal, but you can pile in things like bigger things like sexism, racism,
things
human
like,
trafficking, whatever gets you pissed up. Yes, because it's the emotional state and the full engagement. And then that's only step one. We have 6 steps, but step 1 and 2 are usually where I spend the most time, just to get there. Just enough. It's like you're a lawyer in the court of the universe making a case for why the universe is awful. And when you get enough to believe it, then again, we're creating polarity. There's no magic in neutrality. It's like just being stuck in mud. So we're creating polarity. And then step number 2 is where things get weird, which is now we are going to personify the root cause, meaning we are going to invent that there is this imaginary monstrous person who is not you and not your parents. And that I'll explain that when we get to step 3, who is responsible for every horrible thing that has ever happened to you that you've ever felt bad about. In fact, the worst things that you say to yourself, I love using this. Imagine the worst thing you've ever said to yourself. And now imagine that it's this other being whispering in your ear in your own voice to trick you into not, just hating yourself or feeling bad about yourself. We want it to feel real. And it's really important that we make it a personal. It doesn't have to be anyone you've ever known, or it could be some, grand historical person that you've never met, but it needs to feel real and it needs to feel personal and directed at you. And the reason for that is because until then, everything is an abstract concept, and abstract concepts are just sort of floaty.
Mm-hmm. So we want to give it a name. Yes,
you can. I call it the money monster. If it has a name, great. If it doesn't matter. Some of us are like really easy visual, and then some of us, me, are not. When I kind of accidentally went through this process in 2003, my monster just showed up in my mind's eye when my coach on some weird day just said, Morgana, if your money was a person, who would your money be? And I happened to be in such a dark place at that moment that I saw my money instantly was this big, dark, scary, not dark, but big, scary, violent biker dude with the, long sideburns and the tattoos and just terrifying because I knew he was bad. And all of a sudden, all of my financial challenges made perfect sense because no matter how I was applying myself consciously, subconsciously, I was protecting myself.
Biker dude was showing up and he was bad to the bone, right?
Yes, exactly. Right. It's real to us. We have experiences with human beings. We know how to end relationships. So step number 3, when it feels real, like I could ask you does this person feel hot or cold? Big? How big is it? What does it smell like? What do his eyes look like? We just kind of flesh it out.
Right.
Until it's like
clear on the characteristics of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And ultimately it's really, really dangerous. All bad, no good whatsoever. Okay. Which is why it's not your parents. But if you had monstrous parents, it used your parents to hurt you. Because when we get to step number 3, when we get to step number 3, we get rid of the monster. My mom was into this show called Highlander back in the 80s, some kind of, I don't know, supernatural,
Right.
Scottish guy. But, I didn't watch it, but I remember there was the slogan, there can only be one. And so in this moment, it's you or the monster. Only the natural end result of this monster's impact in your life is really to crush you to the point that there's no point in living. So you want to say, no, you don't get to be here. And step number 3 is you annihilate it by any means necessary. And I encourage you to get like super dramatic and pull out weapons and be a monster slayer in this moment. Victimhood tends, and we're using victimhood in step number 1. It's sacred, it's valuable, or it wouldn't happen, but it tends to have this very kind of heavy, cold, damp feeling. And this like warrior energy is more like rising, hot, fiery energy. So we want to just like purge this thing from existence. It's binary. It is or it isn't. Make sure.
Right. I can see it in my mind's eye right now. Like it's, the tongue is hanging out as I'm stabbing it, hitting it around this way and that way. And I'm kind of playing this in my head. So I'm liking it.
Awesome. And when it's dead, get rid of the bloody bits. We don't want any zombie monsters coming back.
All right. I'm going to put it in the incinerator.
Great.
All burn up every single ash.
Excellent. Sometimes I say sulfuric acid is useful and a cosmic vacuum cleaner I love the incinerator until when it's all gone. You feel it because it's been with you your whole life and maybe back generations. So what I look for at the end of step 3 is, does it feel different? Is there an emptiness there? And the emptiness may feel great, yay, light, easy. And it also may feel like there's some grieving or even some fear of like, whoa, what's next? By the way, those are also perfect, great signs. Mm-hmm. You are acing it. So step number 4, now we get into the fun part. Yes, there is a fun part. I promise. When the monster is gone and with the monster, you put in everything that you reject, that you do not want to make space for in your life, that doesn't get to exist in your life experience. All that's left is love. And this is going to be a person too, who loves you more than anybody in the world. I find from experience, because I've coached thousands of people now, that a romantic dynamic works best.
Okay.
And if you have such, trauma in your background that isn't safe for you yet, fine. This can work for you too. But I will say that if it is a romantic partner feeling, and sometimes it looks like your type and sometimes it really doesn't, but he's hot and you like him or her.
Right.
One of the rules is because this new partner loves you so much, this partner will always respect your boundaries, is never going to be predatory. You kind of set the pace of the relationship. And what this does is not only change your blueprint for relationship with money, but it will also change your blueprint for relationship with everybody else on earth, especially romantic relationships. 4, you meet your money honey. And what I like about this is usually the money honey just shows up and he or she is their own person. And it feels like they've been there forever, but you never noticed them before because you were like getting jiggy with the money monster and the bed's not big enough for all 3.
Right.
The value now of having a money honey who loves you.
It sounds a little bit like Dorothy came up for me, like, she's clicking her heels and she had it all this time, right? It was there with her. She just had to discover it. So there you guys, you've all had it. You're having your Wizard of Oz moment.
There it is. It feels like that was my experience. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This handsome, romantic guy. My first money honey, he was like this young, romantic guy with, very clean cut in a tuxedo, carrying a bouquet of red flowers, in love with me and wanting to woo me, which is the weirdest thing that I think I've ever experienced because I never thought of money loving me or being personal or worthy of love or trust. Mm-hmm. And I could feel how I'd been breaking his heart for years. So part of the thing is now you have all this power in the relationship. So you go to step 5, which is now you have a conversation because this money has this personhood. So he or she has a voice. And so I asked my money honey, what do you need from me so you can stay with me? And I still have that conversation with the underlying presupposition that this person desperately wants to be with you, but you are the doorkeeper and you will push it away when you go into fear. So you have that conversation. And you can also ask, like, should I go into this business? Should I work with this partner? Should I hire this coach? What do I need to learn to let go of this negative pattern? Any of that. And you get an answer back very often so quick and quiet that you can pretend you didn't hear it. Or do automatic writing, just whatever, however you best get your information, just go with that. And that's step number 5 is have that conversation with your money honey. And then step number 6 is take concrete, measurable action. Because if your money honey says something like, I want you to love yourself, that's great. But I don't know anybody who can do that 24/7 for the rest of their lives and get 100%. But when we have a concrete, measurable action, that's something we can check off. Yes, we did or we didn't do. And it makes it more real. It takes it out of the ethers and it puts us in our body. And if you want real world results, you need to take some physical action, even if it doesn't look like it has anything to do with money. If you have a conversation with your money honey and it's like really clear, he's like lit up like a Christmas tree. Yes, let's go dancing. And you say yes, then do it. And that's when really interesting things happened. Like Katie Curtin went skating and came home and got a phone call giving her $10,000 without even asking. It's weird stuff like that is what makes coaching so much fun. That's the 6th step.
Very cool. I like it. And, as a master NLP practitioner, I just want to reinforce to the listeners that all of this works. Like, as crazy as it may sound, this gets right to the unconscious mind or subconscious. Different people say different things, but basically it gets underneath the hood and it rewires everything. So I just want to reinforce that this is really powerful imagery. And then when we use metaphors and personas and the way that you've developed this process that, people can really find amazing, massive results from this.
Thank you. I got my master's in NLP also way back in 2005, which was like, I was already doing this, but why it worked suddenly made sense. It was really validating. And there's that common NLP notion that like, if your conscious mind is going this way and your subconscious mind is going that way, the subconscious, and I'm pointing in different directions for those who are listening, the subconscious always wins. My teacher said, who determines where the ship goes, the captain or the crew? And it's really the crew below the deck that makes the decisions. So we need your conscious mind and your unconscious mind on the same team. And if money or love or health is inexplicably dangerous, and by the way, your
time, I also want to put in there time, since we are talking about take back time. Shift in relationship with money is, I want to talk about afterwards, how that also can shift your relationship with time.
It does in the coolest way possible. So if you're protecting yourself from anything unconsciously, and again, it's never going to be what you think it is. It isn't that you're consciously protecting yourself from money. It's that protecting yourself from all these pains of feeling unworthy, unlovable, unsafe, and all that kind of stuff is going to show up in your relationship with money and your relationship with time and your relationship with love and your relationship with health, and Phil, wherever the problem spot is in your life. And you won't even know it until you dig underneath and you make it safe. And one of my favorite things to say is that change happens at the speed of safety. Mm-hmm. And by the way, tying into the theme of time, that means you can spend decades doing everything right, working yourself to bits and not getting results because the need to protect, the prime directive to protect always wins. The moment something becomes safe, things shift really, really fast. Can I tell you my time story?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so in 2012, my money honey and I made a deal because I was still single and 45 and I wanted to travel the world with the love of my life. And I've been looking for that person since I was 4.5. So I'm a real slow learner. And so he told me that I just could not do that if I was printing books and standing in the post office, mailing products and all that, and coaching too many people all at the same time. So we came up with my Morgana's Make Out with a Cute Guy business plan, which meant digitalizing everything, taking fewer clients, and my income quadrupled that year. It actually doubled by April. And I met my husband in August. I also slayed my love monster 2 months before that. But ever since then, I work less and less time, make more money, have a bigger impact because Then, remember, I kept telling the universe I want to travel the world with the love of my life.
Yeah.
I got married for the first time at 47, and it was a simple elopement. I was in Bali finishing my retreat. My husband was in South Africa taking photos of animals. He proposed over Skype. I cut my trip short, came home, picked him up. We eloped, and I was like, bucket list complete. And that's that. And then 2 weeks later, he had an assignment in Puerto Vallarta, and he called the tourism bureau and said, hey, I just got married. Can I bring my wife? And they said, sure, make it a honeymoon. And when we were in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, we were walking by their iconic cathedral, Our Lady of Guadalupe. And he said, hey, you want to get married again? And I was like, sure. Like, we're filthy, sweaty, totally not glamorous.
Right.
Two Jews and Jesus walk into a Mexican cathedral. It's like, a joke, take off our rings, make up new vows. And it hit me so much deeper the second time because I had been a married woman for 13 days. So I had a frame of reference for what being married meant. And when he saw that it affected me so deeply, he came up with the idea the next day, let's get married 100 times in 100 countries. So my business.
Wow, I love that.
I steal it.
How romantic is that? Now you have all the women on there like, get out of here.
No, do it. Do it. By the way, we've been married 25 times in 20 countries since 2014. Wow. I still think it's less expensive than one giant wedding in Los Angeles. And it's romantic and it's fun. And I encourage everybody to do it too, because some of our weddings are ridiculous all day medieval affairs. My husband was knighted in the Republic of San Marino, but it's not about that. It's really about, hey, let's stop life, focus on each other, and remember why we choose each other and what we want for the other.
It's beautiful because you keep choosing each other, right? It's almost like, why do you get married once? Now that you say that, it almost seems logical, or I should say illogical, to only get married once. Why wouldn't you renew your vows every year to choose each other all over again, year after year?
Or every day, or just in our case, every time we go to a new country. I just thought a big fancy wedding was too much pressure for a little baby marriage for me. Mm-hmm. But it also now means that since this is our lifestyle and this is my priority, my business has to allow me to get on a plane and go to other countries for weeks or months at a time, because that's important to me.
Right.
So you want to talk about time? This is what I worked out with my money honey and my human honey.
Right.
I just get more and more focused on exactly what I want to do and with whom and how I can give the most value, and also be in full integrity with the life that I want to create for myself too.
Right. One of the big things that, I was thinking about when I was preparing to talk to you and reinforced as we're talking is that, this relationship with money and how it affects our time, right, is how we value our time. So you value your time differently now because you have other things that you make more important and realize that more work is not going to equal more money, right? But getting married, 100 times in 100 countries is going to bring you a lot more happiness and fulfillment and fun. And therefore, that raises the value of your time, not to just give it away for, like you said, just on too many smaller activities. So you're focused on the bigger options.
I believe that the only purpose for money to exist is to serve love, lifestyle, and legacy.
I like that.
If making money is killing your relationships, that's not a good relationship with money, no matter how many billions you have. And I've coached billionaires with this problem. And if making money is hurting your health and consuming all of your time, then it's not a healthy relationship with money. And if making money is making you do things that hurt people or the planet, that's not a good relationship with money. The more it serves love, lifestyle, and legacy, the more it makes my money honey happy. And I also found that just the happiness of love blended a certain kind of mojo where my client results got bigger and bigger and more millionaires were happening faster. So it all feeds each other. And yeah, time and money, they say time is money. It's you just pick the name of the monster that works for you in the moment, but know that it's holographic. So it's everything at the same time. I call this cute guy money because money was the area of life that needed my love and healing.
Right.
But it could easily be time
Well, you know what brings up the image for me is it's that three-headed dog.
Cerberus is his name.
Oh, that's what he's called, right? Cerberus, right? It brings up that, like the three heads, right? So it's all of them together, like you said.
I was a religion major. I'm really good at knowing those
Trying to remember which movie I saw it in and what it was called.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So thank you so much for sharing this process. I think that, people are going to, hopefully they were going through it in their mind, but that they're going to, after this, really step back and go through it in more detail. So did we miss anything? Is there anything that you really wanted to share with the audience before we close down today's episode?
Just be kind and gentle with yourself. Like we really, really raced through this, and I'm trying to cram 20-something years of experience into less than an hour. I don't expect you to master it in the first sitting. So listen to this podcast again. Go to my website, morganaray.com. I have way more resources, hundreds of articles and videos on my website to just for free in the blog to help you and answer questions. I have a video series to help guide you through, and that will answer, maybe hit some of the things that didn't come to me in this moment. But yeah, just understand that I'm not expecting everybody to get it right just right away. So go through it deeper. Go to my website. There are more resources for you there.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for sharing your website. And they'll be in the show notes so people can access that. And just, thank you for sharing. I love what you shared, and I'm excited to go through the process more deeply for myself. I think what's important and what I want to close out with for those who are listening is that it doesn't matter where you are on that spectrum. That, I say this also when people are talking about, oh, well, I'm already good at time management and I already have a good relationship with money. Yeah, but there's multiple levels of black belt. If you think about karate, and the masters are still working on new levels of mastery. So I just want to make sure that everybody takes that into consideration who's listening, is wherever you are, right? There's deeper levels of fulfillment, of happiness. I love what you said about money's main purpose is just for love, lifestyle, and legacy. Which one can you tune up and make even more? Maybe you can leave a bigger legacy than what you've left or have done to this point, or enjoy your lifestyle that much more, or have that much deeper love. So there's room for growth for everybody. So make sure that you guys are putting this into practice. So thank you, Morgana, and thank you all. My name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thank you for spending this time with me. It really means a lot. If you're feeling a little off, distracted, overwhelmed, stuck, or just out of sync, remember that's your signal to reset. And that's all it takes, just recognizing one reset moment at a time. So stay tuned for more tips, tools, tricks, stories, strategies, all here on Time to Reset. We'll see you in the next episode.